Okay, welcome to the State of the Discovery Nation 2021. This is the latest in a series of reports to really better understand the opportunities and needs of the UK drug discovery industry. This year, the report is being put together jointly by two different parts of the UK Catapult network. That is CPI, the Centre for Process Innovation in the northeast of England, and the Medicines Discovery Catapult, which I am part of, based in the northwest of England. This is a national study really looking into how can we better shape the UK to be an epicenter for the successful growth of the complex medicines industry. So firstly, this is myself. I'm Peter Simpson. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer at Medicines Discovery Catapult. I've been in senior roles in the drug discovery industry in pharma and academia, and now the Catapult for certainly 25 years. And this is the latest opportunity, I think, whereby we could put together all of the strengths of the different sector communities in the UK to work together to bring ourselves forward as a major UK player and a major international player. One of the strengths I've always said in drug discovery is working across boundaries, getting universities to work with research organizations, getting technology organizations to work with pharma and biotech, getting SMEs' voice heard more effectively, and getting organizations like Catapults to work together effectively as well. So hopefully this is a really good example of the community identifying challenges and looking towards solutions. So as I say, I work for Medicines Discovery Catapult, or as it's called here, MDC. So MDC is a government-funded, not-for-profit company which exists to help the drug discovery industry to be more successful. We're there to provide expertise and insight and capabilities that enable drug discovery innovators to bring their new ideas, new products closer and faster to market and closer to patients. So as I say, we champion risky and exciting new technologies, exciting new ways of delivering medicines, exciting new types of medicines. We work with those innovators to have a successful business plan, to generate the validation data that they require, and to have a compelling set of data that will help to get investors and pharma and regulators to see the potential of these exciting new ideas. So this is the report that we're mentioning, Shaping the UK into an Epicenter for Complex Medicines. It's available on the websites of the two Catapult organizations, and hopefully it's something that we think is worth people's time to read and consider. So as we go through this, it seems a sensible place to start to agree what it is we're actually talking about. So complex medicines, what are they? What aren't they? So conventionally, small molecules were defined as the major type of therapeutic agent that is a drug. And then over the last 20 years in particular, there's been a massive growth in antibodies as drugs and some incredibly successful medicines such as Keytruda, which have been really impactful for patients. So we have small molecules, we have antibodies. What's been emerging and growing rapidly now is a whole plethora of new methods and modalities that get us into types of chemistry, types of carriers, types of targeting, which is an exciting, but also has so far relatively untapped potential. So on the graphs before you, you see some examples of those modalities that range from lipid-based nanoparticles like liposomes and microbubbles, and the lipid nanoparticles that have been underpinning some of the exciting new COVID-19 vaccines, through polymer-based nanocarriers, inorganic nanoparticles such as silica nanoparticles, viral nanoparticles, and drug conjugates like antibody drug conjugates, of which there are now many on the market. And each of these has their own challenges to bring them through the market, as do the whole plethora of examples not captured in this graph. You have to be able to know, what is this cargo and carrier doing? Where is it going? Is it going to where it needs to go, staying there, penetrating, and having those effects? So there are lots of things to be measured and lots of regulatory and development challenges to take this more complex medicine through to being an actual drug product. So we've got involved because we see this as a huge opportunity. And as always, there is the first mover advantage of getting into areas and understanding how to tap into them effectively in what is, hugely competitive global industry. So antibody drug conjugates, well, they've been around for quite a while, are now growing and are going from a £1 billion a year industry to a £7 billion a year industry. Oligonucleotide drugs, again, have got traction and are growing. And again, that market size is growing. And when you look across all of the different components of this market, we see the potential to be a multi-billion-dollar companies, multi-billion-dollar industry is prevalent and is exciting without being easy or straightforward. And the point of these types of medicines is getting drugs to places that currently we're not treating effectively, whereby the side effects are too high, the treatments aren't sufficiently effective, and the disease isn't being treated. And that's about having exposure and targeting and novel types of chemistry. So I think, in this broader sphere of precision medicines, complex medicines is one of the opportunities for us to treat medicines and patients and diseases more effectively. So one of the things we looked at is the UK a substantial player in this space? And this infographic really talks about the companies that are already active in the UK. You can see they are present all around the UK, and they are quite diverse companies. They are typically small companies. As you can see, the majority have less than 25 individuals in them, which nearly always will mean they will need to be working in a variety of collaborations in order to bring their products forward. They're working in a variety of modalities, and that's about having a novel carrier for a conventional small molecule. It's about having drugs like oligonucleotides, ADCs, and a whole variety of other active pharmaceutical ingredients. And they're thinking about structuring their companies in different ways. Some of them are technology platform based, and when you have that carrier in place, you can use this for a whole variety of diseases and cargoes. Others about getting into a single technology and chemistry and mining that as deeply as possible. So there's a lot actually going on when you look under the surface here. But of course, there's much excitement about trying to grow these companies and grow this industry and make these into really major players. So we undertook surveys and questions and conversations with a variety of active people in this space to really get their honest opinion on where is the field, where could the field be, what is holding it back, what are the untapped potentials. And as we go through a few of these slides, this is getting under the skin of some of the high-level answers that sort of shape our thinking now going forward. So as you can see that 38% of these companies are really about a novel drug discovery technology. A huge amount of fantastic research has happened in UK universities, a huge amount of expertise in drug delivery. And the potential now is how do we translate that into successful companies? And you can see the whole variety of other types of expertise in different types of chemistry, different types of vaccines, different types of medicines. Many of them in oncology. Obviously a growing opportunity in infectious disease, but relatively untapped potential in a wider range of diseases. And then we asked the same individuals, what is the most pressing technical challenge or barrier to developing your medicine? And some quite illuminating answers. So many people find it hard to access the expertise and technologies to really study the behavior of their new agent in a preclinical animal species. Can they do the study? Can they get the imaging capability to really study both the efficacy and the liability and the biodistribution of their molecule? Also, substantial amount of people identifying the need for novel bioanalytical methods, novel bioanalysis assays, because the things that work for many conventional drugs in terms of cell assays and in terms of in vivo assays may not necessarily translate to these new classes of therapeutic agent. And there will be and is clearly a need for more bespoke solutions. These include access to cell imaging technologies, access to complex cell models so they can really look at high resolution in cells before they get anywhere near a preclinical species. And because of the nature of these agents, a real deep understanding of both safety and drug metabolism and pharmacokinetics will be underpinning for these companies. Remember, many of them are small companies, and it would be unreasonable and indeed unwise of them to have all of these types of expertise and capital investment within their organization. They will need to tap into this. There has to be that support network for them to move forward. That includes a drug development and formulation expertise of when you have a product, how do you actually scale up this product into something that is commercially viable? Another question we asked is, what types of support would these innovators benefit from as they take their product forward? And as I've sort of hinted at already, most of them immediately call out the desire and need for collaborative partnerships. They don't wish to try and tackle this all in isolation. They also want access to a real understanding of the regulatory pathway. So, none of these small companies want to invest their time in doing experiments that are not the right answer. They want to make sure that they're doing the things that's going to get their asset to the key decision points. That includes the need for drug development advisors who really understand their asset, their technology, and can provide advice that they can rely upon, along with the laboratory facilities for doing these validation studies in, and specific technical expertise in areas that they do not have internal expertise in. We also asked people around the extent to which they have yet engaged with the patient population and the clinical need. And because many of these companies are at a relatively early stage in their journey towards patients, they're certainly planning to do this. Some of them are already doing this, and it will clearly be part of their journey as hopefully these technologies develop and mature. This graphic is calling out at least some of the organizations that can provide some of the expertise that drug discovery innovators in complex medicines require. This is by no means intended to be a comprehensive list. So we certainly think that Medicines Discovery Catapult has built up a range of expertise in high resolution cell imaging, high resolution bespoke mass spectrometry and mass spectrometry imaging, tissue pathology, preclinical imaging with PET and ultrasound, preclinical animal studies, a whole range of areas that will be really essential for people to understand how their new asset is working. But we don't do this in isolation, and certainly we are working very closely with the expertise at CPI in the Northeast, with Strathclyde in terms of drug formulation in particular. There's relevant expertise from the journey to scale up vaccines with our colleagues at Cell and Gene Therapy, and to the other vaccine experience at Imperial College, and a whole range of types of expertise at Liverpool around the long-acting therapeutics. There's the Nucleic Acid Therapy Accelerator, there's VMIC. There's lots of different pieces of a support network building around the UK. As part of this report, our colleagues at CPI spoke to a range of organizations specifically around nanotherapeutics, things like lipid nanoparticles, but beyond that, these exciting new generation of delivery systems. What support are they going to need to move forward faster? And of course, as you might expect, they're looking at the key areas of simpler and better formulation, easier process development, rapid effective scale up, and ease of manufacturing. These are substantial challenges for turning a really exciting research program into a real new product. So regulatory pathways is one of the areas that comes up a couple of times here, and clearly the potential challenge is if you're developing a conventional medicine, it's been done before, there's a pathway that you can follow, and there are precedents for what you're bringing to the regulatory agencies. When you are advancing novel drug carrier technologies, novel drug cargoes, there may not be a regulatory precedent, and it may not be obvious to the innovator exactly what they need to do. Do they understand what is going to be important for the regulator? And many of them have praised some of the early engagement approaches that the regulators in the UK are now undertaking. But clearly that's a great start for everybody. There is a need to bring the community together to really understand what is the development journey, what is the simplest way of getting from the beginning to a real drug being delivered to patients. Again, these are very small companies, many of them spinning out from universities and trying to build in this challenging space. Many of them are calling for a more targeted investment and grant funding space, a recognition by the UK that this is an area of enormous potential, with targeted programs of investment and grant funding to give it the kickstart to grow to be a global player. As well as funding, what they want is easier access to industry expertise, clinical expertise, CRO and service and supply networks, access to the relevant human tissue samples to test out their medicines and opportunities. And I think this is what you might expect in an industry that has enormous potential, enormous energy, and a need to grow rapidly. Another question we asked was what can be done to progress complex medicines in unmet disease areas? And some interesting answers here again. And then this resonance around a nationally available coordinated resource to help them to progress, along with this targeted investment in drug delivery and novel drug modalities. And here also thinking about training programs. Anytime you grow a new industry, one of the first challenges in doing so is skilled and expert workforce. And if this is an industry that's going to grow rapidly, there will be an opportunity and a need for a new generation of leaders with expertise and technical specialists, which gets us into thinking about where are those leaders and technical experts going to come from and who is going to train them. It is, of course, 2021. So, of course, COVID-19 is a thing. It is unsurprising to find that COVID-19 has to a significant extent impacted negatively on people's businesses, though it is fair to say a number of companies have said to us they have pivoted their technology and tried to say, how can this give us, for example, a therapeutic vaccine in COVID or other opportunities that we wouldn't have thought about in the pre-COVID space. But of course, majority of people have been challenged and frustrated by lack of access to research collaborators, lack of access to research facilities, competition for space, and just the general pressures of life that many of us have, of course, experienced. So this is an infographic trying to summarize some of the key requests that resonate throughout the work that our colleagues in CPI have done in engaging with the nanoparticle community, throughout the work that we've also done in engaging the wider complex medicines community. Certain themes come through that I think it's worth us calling out in this. So there's a clear request for a coordinated resource landscape and roadmap that enables people to easily identify where they can go to get the help that they need. Where is the specialist capabilities and infrastructure that would make the UK a leading player in this space? So as well as that infrastructure and roadmap, there's a real call out then for investment in funding and investment in training programs. So as these companies grow, they can access funding in a reliable and resourceful manner, and they can access the people they need to grow rapidly. As part of that landscape and resource mapping, easier understanding of the regulatory process by engagement with these current pilot schemes in the regulator has certainly come through. And we also think there's a key need, not just for this understanding, but for these specific technical areas that the UK needs to invest in to ensure you really understand what your medicine is doing. And one we call out here is that easy access to high quality, high scale preclinical imaging facilities. So we summarize on this infographic the recommendations that we think come through loud and clear from the people we've spoken to. A network of support, expertise, and infrastructure to enable their success. Long-term investment in training programs to grow the skilled expert workforce and leaders of the future. Targeted investment and funding opportunities to enable drug discovery innovators to rapidly build the company and rapidly test their ideas. A widely understood roadmap that shows the path that can be followed, that shows how to avoid dead ends, that gets people through this process reliably, safely, and quickly. And also a community building approach here. Many of these organizations will need to work with each other, with CROs, with research organizations like Catapults, with academic experts. So this networking and learning solutions that brings the companies and the collaborators and the innovators together in a more effective national network. Because this report has been done by Medicines Discovery Catapult and our colleagues at CPI, it is reassuring that many of the solutions, and by no means all of them, are things that we can play a role in. This graphic shows some of the things that each of our organizations can do to help organizations succeed. So MDC has built up a suite of expensive, challenging techniques, technologies, and capital investment in the following. Measurement of cell uptake into a range of complex cell models and organ-on-a-chip solutions. Some novel and bespoke target engagement assays. Deep omics profiling of pathway signatures. and linked to that, world-class expertise in discovery and validation of biomarkers to show whether the drug is safe and effective through its development path. A deep industry understanding of how to develop a product, what is the profile of a product that investors and pharma are going to want to engage in, and we support many innovators through that part of their journey. Our investment in a suite of imaging techniques from cells, tissues, and in vivo enables us to help measure biodistribution of novel carriers and cargoes. We have a preclinical imaging suite, which includes a range of imaging techniques and technologies, along with associated novel radiochemistry labels, which enables also PK/PD studies. And we also can do deep tissue imaging and pathology to understand the effects of drugs. Moving forward past the preclinical stage, we can take those pathways and biomarkers and spatial transcriptomic learning into the development of clinically translatable biomarkers. And we can take the techniques that work in the preclinical space, looking at, for example, plasma omics mass spectrometry or spatial transcriptomic tissue studies, and take those through into the clinical studies and show the translation into patients. Our colleagues at CPI have a different piece of the puzzle here. They are very strong in understanding how to manufacture innovative medicines, how to develop them. That includes oral solid dose formulations, nanomedicines, viral vectors, an understanding of therapeutic proteins, the microbiome, how to store, package, and distribute novel medicines, and expertise in the adherence of patients to those, and then progressing their partner organizations through into the commercial drug manufacturing space. So it isn't that catapults are the solution to every problem, but we are, I think, a really positive partner as not-for-profit organizations invested in by the government to be here to help. We are hopefully a partner who people can come to with challenging, difficult problems and can often find at least some or all of their solution here. So if you want to read the report, you will also see a number of examples of how innovators have begun to progress these exciting new generation of medicines through, how investors can see the opportunity in this space, and how already to date, both CPI and MDC have played some role in bringing products closer to patients. I commend the case studies to you to give you a glimpse into the exciting new innovators that are emerging in this space, and some brief snippets of their journey so far, hopefully with much more to come in the future. That is really essentially the summary of this report. I hope you will read it and think about it and see, where can you play a part? Where are you part of the journey? Are you somebody who should be part of the solution? Or are there things that MDC or CPI can do that can help your journey? Is this a field that you are excited about and passionate about? We're very happy to talk to innovators, people with new technologies, people with new ideas, people who need help. Our door is open, and we have, I think, hopefully a wealth of relevant expertise in drug discovery, in specialist techniques and specialist platforms that can hopefully help you or someone you know to be increasingly successful. I hope you've enjoyed listening to some of this, and that this will be a useful synopsis of what is quite a compelling report. And thanks for your time.